What's weird about conservatives?
Well, that's a whole different article. But this was in the summer when people were trying to say was Republicans were weird, and I suppose there I was trying to say that. Well, let me put this a different way. Another way for the Liberals to win is to scare Canadians that conservatives are too frightening. That and this worked for Trudeau very effectively in 2019 and 2021. That on issues like guns or abortion or various other issues that you could scare them. They're not really Canadian in this kind of way, and that could be an effective way of still scaring off Canadians against conservatives, because in the current kind of cultural landscape, conservatives have seemed like they're not really Canadians. I think something has switched there. I think been a shift in our political discourse that is going to make that less convincing now, but we'll have to see.
Well, one of the reasons why we heard such sayings, if I could say rhetoric, in the summer, even from the United States, right? Calling Trump weird, calling and in reverse they call someone like Tim, what was his name again? Tim, the vice presidential candidate,
Oh,
Tim Walz.
Tim Walsh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they in return called him weird as well. The whole weird thing was going on, but a key thing I kept hearing, and then this is connected with some of your articles that I read as well. The key point I kept hearing from the Liberal Democrat in the States, for instance, which I'm starting to hear as well in Canada, is that we're not going back. I listened carefully, even looking at the Democratic Convention in the States, and even looking at the primaries or the local selection for the Liberal leader right now. There's an issue of we're not going back to the what do you call them, the corporate oligarch that they often blame conservatives about, and issues about social values as well. The progressives want to move
Yeah.
on different social issues. You alluded to that in some of your article. So how do we navigate that?
I think that it can be an effective argument if you think that not agreeing with a series of modern day progressive values is somehow reactionary, right? And that's what they're depending on you to believe. I think it's kind of an inaccurate claim that on a whole host of social issues, the progressive orthodoxy has gone so far to the left and so far away from what I think many Canadians, if they hear what the actual issues involved, would agree with, whether on just a whole range of things. If you can believe what the Pierre Poilievre is saying, and you might want to distrust him, he's a politician, you can believe what you want, but he's not going to backtrack on a whole host of things about the rights for gays and lesbians and same sex marriage. He's not going to revisit the abortion debate on a whole host of things that I think where the polling shows that many Canadians, not all Canadians, but many Canadians are on side. I don't think a current conservative government under Poilievre it would change any of those things. But on more controversial issues around, are there two sexes or two genders, and there's whole issues around those things, then there's all this kind of more debate. And I think the current liberal government, like the Democrats in the U.S., want to play this bait and switch. They want to say, "Oh, it's a turn back to this crazy reactionary times," and that if you vote conservative or vote Republican, you're going to get this crazy reactionary. I don't want to speak about the U.S. because I think Canada's very different. Right. But in the Canadian case, it's not at all clear to me, and to me, not a very convincing argument that a conservative government under Poilievre would in any way represent that. I think it's more accurate to say that on a host of very contemporary, very controversial issues where the progressives have tried to shut off even any debate on things, that the conservatives would disagree with a lot of kind of more radical progressive orthodoxy. And so if by going back, you mean going back to 4 years ago, then probably they're right.
In the argument for social issues and the way the progressives look at it versus someone like even Pierre Poilievre, I've been seeing some of his arguments about these issues of late. I know you've talked about the issues with the weight projected about victimhood in our current culture under the current administration, victimhood and issues about we have to, you talked about this in your article as well, replacing, that we've actually replaced, and this is not even a problem with the current argument, it's not a problem with the current government, that we've replaced issues or topics about prayers in schools with land acknowledgement, and it's become a little sacrament that we repeat now. A guilty conscience thing. That's the way you refer to it in your article. But all of those reversible in our culture. And is it really helping our culture? And if it's not helping, are they reversible under a new administration? Especially without sounding like you're lunatic, like the way Trump is going about it right
Yeah,
now.
yeah, and I don't. I think the Canadian way would not be to the Canadian, a certain section of Canada would present Poilievre as like Trump, but my sense is he's not like that. I think he expresses himself as someone who wants to get government out of people's faces, and it's going to be sold as reactionary and conservative. But what he's saying is he's actually open to individual freedom, as far as I read him. Whether he governs that way indifferently is a different matter. And what he threatens is a host of kind of experts and progressive believers who want to actually put government in your face and say you can't question if there are two sexes or not, or you're worried about what's being taught in your schools, or you worry, certain things that are off topic for debate. And I think Poilievre represents a section of the Canadian public who would like to say, get out of the way. Governments get out of the way. Stop telling us what to do. The school system, stop politicizing subjects. And this isn't about any one party or not. It's about two kind of foundation values. Do you believe in people being, having the right to free speech, having the right to maybe offend, and also the right to, call a spade a spade? And a large section of kind of the cultural expert class finds that very threatening because they want to control the way people think and the way people speak.
Revaluate is a project I embarked upon to spark meaningful conversations that can inspire critical thinking as we navigate the adventures of life. The analytics on this channel show about 95% of the viewers on the channel haven't subscribed yet. So you do me a favor by clicking the subscribe button right now. Then I'll keep my promise to continually improve on the quality of the conversations that are produced on this channel every time.